tracks. Hey guys, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning here tonight to chat about this new Anderson Paak album. It's called Ventura. Oxnard, California's own Anderson Paak. He first rose to prominence on his own back in 2014 with his Venice mixtape. And honestly, it's not my favorite of his projects, but I do understand the hype. Some of the more rap-tinged tunes on here did sort of fall under my radar. But the neo-soul and funk fusions on tracks like Paint, Already, Milk and Honey really took me by surprise. It's really what the doctor ordered from me in Anderson Paak's music. That's why I enjoyed 2016's Malibu so much more. This was a colorful, wonderfully produced, and filled with charisma and character, funk and neo-soul album with some pretty great guest spots as well. And I may be in the minority here, but I thought last year's Oxnard was even better. This was a really freaking classy, old-school R&B and soul album with plenty of great production, with once again solid features. It's a really classy production. Honestly, Oxnard went on to be one of my top 20 albums of the year, and the Tint single on it was in my top 10 singles of the year. So, honestly, I wasn't expecting to hear from Mr. Paak so very soon, but here we are. And from the sound of these singles, like he sounds on his A-game for the most part. Let's chat about this thing. Album starts off with Come Home featuring Mr. Andre 3000. It's a very smoky, soulful track. And I feel like if you liked the direction that Oxnard was going, you'll definitely like a track like this. There's a lot of throwback soul and funk, just what the doctor ordered. In a way, though, this is even more of a throwback of a track. Like, Paak just sounds so solid and oozing charisma on this beat. I love it. And this instrumental is classy as hell. Backing vocals are nice, the production is solid. Honestly, at the end of the day, and with a lot of other tracks on here, this just seems like the next logical step for Anderson Paak. And Andre 3000's verse on this more laid-back beat is just really cool. It's a great introduction to this album. Later on, we get Reachin' Too Much with Lala Hathaway, and hot damn is this track ever smooth. While soul and funk both find their way into this track, this one is a little bit more on the R&B side. Like, this track is just so big with an absolutely flooring instrumental. Funky synths, some powerful horns. Like, this is just such a great backdrop for Anderson. And when this one picks up to be even more of a groovy tune, I feel like it even gets better. I just feel like this is just a great sound for him. And once again, this is just the logical next step for Anderson Paak. And some of the disco vibes that he throws in at the finale here. Give me more of that. Later on, King James. I really don't have anything bad to say about this track at all. I love the upbeat and soulful feel to this, and that horn section is killer here. Paak in this environment just seems like he has so much more purpose. And because of that, he seems to have even more confidence. It's times like this that I just love hearing him the most. This track is punchy, it's got a strong message. Honestly, I love everything about it. And Chosen One featuring Sonia Elise is actually a really interesting new direction for Anderson. Like, I just love how big and suffocating this one is. Like, this has a serious atmosphere to it. But still, the funk is alive and well and absolutely the main focal point, and Sonia's hook is absolutely killer. Once again, this is just a really interesting progression. Like, give me some more of this. And the upbeat funk of Jet Black featuring Brandy is really great as well. Like, you gotta give Paak credit. When he gets in the zone, he really knows what he's doing. And no joke, Brandy on this hook, like, this is absolutely brilliant. She sounds amazing. There are steamy moments, there are sweet moments here. Like, this really is the complete package. But that's where a lot of the more interesting moments kind of fade out here. A lot of the rest of this album balances between, like, Oxnard B-side sounding tracks and just kind of meh tracks. Make It Better featuring Smokey Robinson. Like, I may be in the minority here, but I don't think it's that good, or at least as good as people hype it up to be. Like, it's laid back and smoky, and it's certainly soulful, but this, to me, just doesn't have the same personality as other tracks here does. Like I said, while a lot of other tracks here just seem like a really great progression for Anderson Paak, this just sounds like a B-side, not even a very good one. And that's really upsetting because he brought in freaking Smokey Robinson for this track. Paak sounds fine and Smokey's performance is actually A+, but that's about where the buck stops for me with this track. Winner's Circle is alright, like, I guess. Like, this one is interesting in a way because it's much more stripped down, and Paak is completely the focus here, and I actually think it has a really great sentiment to it. And sure, the funk is still alive and well, but this track just seems a little straightforward for me. I just feel like other tracks here, Anderson Paak gives us so much more. Yada Yada, once again, it's very alright. Funk is once again in effect, that's for sure. Not to mention, like, this may not be everybody's thing, but there's some genuinely strange and weird and experimental stuff going on this track. But there's no catchy hook in sight, and nothing to really truly grab me about this one. Like, I wouldn't say this is bad. As a matter of fact, there are parts of this that are actually pretty wild and interesting. But nothing about this track makes me want to dive deeper. Good Heels featuring Jasmine Sullivan is actually, it's a decent interlude at best. Like, the vocals are great, the funky licks are absolutely welcome, but this comes halfway through the album, and it's like, I feel like this track, when it hits, the album has barely taken off yet. We don't need an interlude right now. Later on, we get Twilight, and I just have to say meh once again. The pieces are all here, but Anderson Paak just seems rushed. I hate to be that guy, but I don't think we needed another Anderson Paak album right now. I feel like a lot of these tracks just seem very rushed. As a matter of fact, this one almost sounds like someone's trying to rip off Anderson Paak's sound that's not him. Even from a songwriting standpoint, this track is a low. And this instrumental just sounds like it was thrown together in 5 minutes. Like, this is just bad. And honestly, I have a lot of the same feelings towards this album's finale, What Can We Do, featuring the late great Nate Dogg. Like, it's alright, it's an okay track, but I can't help but feel like Anderson Paak's heart is just not in this. Like, the instrumental is decent at best here, but why do I feel like almost 90% of it was sampled from various beach levels in video games? Nate Dogg's posthumous feature really isn't that bad at all. As a matter of fact, he's probably the best thing about this track, but I just feel like it was almost wasted on a very subpar track that just could have been so much more. So at its best, Ventura actually has a handful of very interesting, progressive tracks for Anderson Paak that show him really moving in the right direction and taking the next logical steps in his career. And when it's on, this album's really great. But at its worst, this album has a lot of tracks on here that range from sounding meh to just B-sides from Oxnard. At the end of the day, I would just so much rather listen to Oxnard or one of his other projects. I think this one was a little rushed. For me, I'm feeling a light 7 on this album, but let me know what you guys think down below. If you liked the video, as always, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know what you guys would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, guys.